Hello, and it's time for Makanori, and it's an urban short horror story from my second collection of short stories, Tales from a Scary Girl, Darkly Sinister. And today's story is called A Sense of Belongings, and it's all about keepsakes, but maybe not the sort that you're thinking of. So I hope you're sitting comfortably. I hope you've got your cup of tea or coffee or something stronger, and enjoy. There's nothing quite like the scent of the past, of objects that once belonged to someone else, things another living person once treasured. I get such a thrill as I walk into the special room where I keep all these prized possessions, once belonging elsewhere, now belonging to me. This forgotten essence brings a yearning into my heart, a longing for a life and a time gone by, a time belonging to another soul, a soul I will never meet, not in this life anyway. To touch an object that once belonged to someone else, well, that's a thrill I find very hard to describe. It's as if in some way I am touching them, touching their life, stepping through time into a world I can only ever read about and never experience. Knowing the object in my hands was once caressed by a person no longer living makes my skin tingle, elevates my heart rate, turns my irises to pinpricks, and causes a rush of blood to places usually reserved for more carnal pleasures. It all started when I was a child and I was left some old clothes by my grandmother. My mother wanted to burn the smelly, moth-eaten rags, but I screamed the place down until she relented. I wouldn't even allow them to be washed. Too taken was I by the smell of the past, the smell of decay, the smell of my grandmother. I would spend hours wrapped in those clothes, pretending I was somebody else, in another time, in another place. My mother thought she put an end to it when she burned them in the backyard while I was at school. She said I had an unhealthy obsession. I didn't. I changed tactics then and instead started frequenting the much more acceptable antique shops and markets, seeking out the most treasured possessions, the most personal ones that I could find. I always know, just by touching them, whether they're for me. I just wait for that rush of blood for the thrill. Over the years, as I got older, my collections became more personal again. I needed them to. The thrill waned after a while, and so the connection I felt needed to be closer, needed to be more recent. Mother would turn in her grave if she knew what I'd done with her prized possessions, if she had one. A grave, that is. Yes, I love opening the door to my special place and standing in the doorway, inhaling the scent of nostalgia, the scent of lives lived, the scent of lives lost. I open my eyes now and gaze around me, putting my hand in my pocket to retrieve the latest addition to my museum-like collection. I feel my breath catch and a hollowness form in my stomach as ringing sounds in my ears. It's not there. This is not good. I stagger backwards and brace myself against the doorframe as I take a deep breath to calm my racing heart. How the hell? Where the hell? My mind ricochets from scene to scene as it retraces my steps, but nothing jumps out. My hands become officers of the law as they pat me down, searching for abnormalities about my person. I look down, see my pockets turned inside out, in the futile search for the treasure, and that's when I see it. The culprit in this crime, the suspect I should have stopped when it first came to my attention. The hole. Damn it! I thump my fist back against the wall, causing some of my collection to retaliate in their delicate mounts. I hold my hands up and back out of the room, closing the door gently behind me. Absent-mindedly, I wander the house, retracing my steps, but no glint of silver catches my eye. I can feel my blood starting to pump faster as my adrenaline fires up, fueling my body with energy, but not in a good way. Losing this valuable item is not a good thing. This has never happened to me before. I am never careless, but this time I push the memory aside and take my search to the garage. I decimate my car as I scour places it cannot possibly be. Why? Because I have to find it. There is no question of me not. It's too dangerous. Not even bothering to reconstruct my vehicle, I set out on a journey I never take twice. I pride myself on choosing a different location each time for my procurement. I don't want to become familiar. I'd rather fade into the background. I'm always careful with the way I dress and the way I behave. No one remembers seeing me, and I like it that way. I rather enjoy being the ghost. Now, though, I am risking changing that, but I have no choice. If I don't find it, someone else will. Would this person hand it in or keep it for themselves? I shudder at the thought of this for two vastly different reasons, and swallow down the bile that has risen in my throat. Until I have made my decision, I always wear gloves. not wanting the oil from my skin to tarnish the precious object. The thing is, I cannot remember if I still had my gloves on or not when I put it in my pockets. If I did, I can probably relax a little. If I didn't, though, do they even fingerprint lost items? If they do, would they get enough for a clear print? It is rather small and delicate. Regardless, I can't run the risk. If I do, my collecting days could well and truly be over. I pull the car into the thankfully deserted car park and get out. I stand there, senses on the prowl for the slightest movement, the smallest sound. All is calm. Even the trees are still, seemingly holding their breath, as anxious as I am. I pick my way back to where I last remember holding it close and drop to my hands and knees. I pull on some gloves to protect myself, and, using the light from the full moon, not daring to risk a torchlight, I run my fingers over the freshly turned earth, through the grass already dampening in the cool night air. I have no idea how long I spend hunting, more time than I did originally, of that I am sure. All I know is that every muscle in my body is now aching and I am getting nowhere. I sit back on my haunches and stretch, enjoying the sensation of muscles lengthening and joints crunching. Something about the sound fills me with excitement. I lean forward again, about to ease myself up to standing, when a brief glint catches my eye. My aching limbs forgotten, I fix my gaze on the spot where I saw the shining, and I crawl, not caring at this point about the mess I'm making. As I reach the spot, I resist the urge to rummage, and instead pick through the flattened blades, sullied by damp, dark earth. Sure enough, there, lying on a damp clump of moss, lies the object of my quest. I feel my heart skip a beat as I place it in a plastic bag, before securing it in a hole-free pocket. I take a moment then to settle my heartbeat, to level my breathing, and to calm my mind. I have returned to a place that I had left without trace, and I now need to do it again. If I don't, I risk being separated from my collection for a long time, maybe for good, and that is one thing I know I cannot bear. With care, I work my way back towards the car park, erasing my presence once more as I do so. Back in my car, I ease out of the car park and head home. I stand once more outside the door to my special place, all trace of my frantic search gone, so as not to contaminate the sacred space. I open the door and step over the threshold, inhaling the scent of nostalgia once more. I walk over to the plinth in the centre of the room and gaze down at the glass dome which protects the plush velvet box inside. I reach to the right and pick up the cotton gloves and pull them on, before lifting the dome and placing it to one side. I feel my heart beat faster as I look at the red velvet box. I bite my lip as I run my fingertips across the lid, bringing them to rest on the silver clasp securing it. I release the clasp and use both hands to raise the lid, my breath held as always as I do so. As the contents, row by row, come into view, I feel a smile spread across my face, and my eyes widen like a child at Christmas, at the treasures before me lying nestled in their own plush compartments. Gold, silver, rubies, emeralds, angels and crosses, all twinkle in the spotlight. I reach into my pocket and remove the plastic bag. Opening it, I take hold of the delicate silver chain and gently lift it out. I hold it up, allowing the light to dance across the shiny surface of the heart, coming to a halt as it meets a dull red floor. I have decided not to remove this red mark, as it makes this piece the closest item in my collection to the person it once belonged to. Many people would admire and covet my collection. Many would be disgusted and abhorred by the extravagance. Yet others would not see this as a collection, but as trophies. I'll let you decide. I hope you enjoyed A Sense of Belongings, and I'll see you next time on Macanori.